Use the law to withhold my deposit? Well, okay. Here we go. This was a few years ago, so some of the details are a little fuzzy. But I smile every time I think about this. There is also a TLDR at the end. I moved to California in 2010 and had lined up a house on a 3-acre property with a nice-sized detached barn. We were on a rent-to-own to allow time to get settled and secure the loan to buy the property. So we had a standard California rental agreement. With the handshake agreement, it would not be needed once we purchased the house. A couple little things to fill in. The female owner was a realtor, so there was a reasonable expectation she knew what she was doing. The husband was weird. I cannot explain it past that. But part of the agreement was we actually bought the horse that was boarded on the property. And also they had the detached barn full of their old crap, with the agreement that it would be removed by the owners once we purchased. So we move in. Things are going fairly good. We have several cats at the time, but keep the house cleaned up. And we had one cat prone to accidents. But for the most part, we kept everything good. Sometime during the winter, we have an issue with the septic system. The owner proceeds to let it slip the septic was not put in legally and was not correct. Okay. They still paid for the repairs. A month or so later, a water line the husband installed to use for watering the horse broke. And again, find out it was not done correctly. This time I was forced to pay for it. Okay, cool. Once I found out about the septic, I started looking for other houses and found one available, and we were able to get it. At this point, I give the owner about 2 months' notice. We had done some improvements on the property, including a tack shed for all the horse gear. My stepdaughter loved horses, and the horse was hers. So almost immediately, the owner's attitude changes, and I realize we are in for a long 2 months. We are slowly moving into the new house, as we have time. During this time, the owner was randomly showing up without 24 hours notice. CA law. Attempting to show the house with zero warning. And the best one, she started inspecting the house before we were even moved out. At this point, we were about 75% moved. The new house was on 12.5 acres. And we did not have a pen to put the horse and goats into. One day, I get home from work, and we have to call a vet out. Owner's daughter, who used to own the horse, decided to give the horse and our 2 goats a year's worth of glucosamine supplements for the horse. We ended up with a several $100 vet bill, so we sped things up, and ended up clearing a few weeks early. Because of this, there were a few odds and ends left behind, including a wooden run-to for the goats. I spent about $500 on cleaning alone to make sure we got our deposit back. I even brought in a professional cleaning service to finish the house up. I spent many times moving from base housing while military. This is common, so we complete the final walkthrough with the owner. And she seems happy. She says she will figure everything out and send me a check. Okay, cool. About 4 weeks after the original move-out date, I get a large manila envelope in the mail from the owner. Strange, but okay, cool. I open it, and she is trying to charge me in the neighborhood of $2,500.00 on top of the $2,000.00 deposit she is keeping. Okay, lady. Let's see what you got. In the envelope is about 10 small mailer envelopes, and about 300-ish pictures of various things on the property and in the house, along with a 6-page letter outlining what I owe her for. So I start reading. Couple hundred for trash removal, including a list of items removed, and the receipt for removal. Several hundred for paint. During the walkthrough I offered to paint the rooms we had painted. One was an obnoxious cotton candy pink. And the owner said no. It was fine. There is also a charge for close to $3,000 for brand new carpeting and high-end padding from Lowe's, as well as the receipt. And also a itemized charge for labor. I believe there were a few other items, but I don't have the paperwork in front of me. Now, my first reaction was pure rage. I was seeing red. I wrote the nastiest letter to her 3 different times, and took a step back. She had threatened to take me to court. QMC. I pulled up California rental laws. And at the time, there was a great website that explained what an owner could legally charge you for. So I sat down, and I believe the entire letter I responded to her with was around 15 pages. The highlights. I was not responsible for the painting or labor associated with, as I provided the final inspection that did not note any issues with paint color. I was not responsible for the trash removal, as she listed one item that was ours. The plywood run to in the field. And the items actually listed were all her personal items removed from the detached barn. And it was not my responsibility. I was not responsible for paying the emergency plumbing repair mentioned earlier, and I provided the bill and the fact it was an emergency, as it was flooding over half the property and making entrance to the property impossible. The best one was the last one. The carpets. So in her letter, she mentioned a horrible smell of cat urine, which she proceeds to explain occurred during the illegal inspections. She also had provided documentation on the cost of materials, including all her purchases. The best part? They were all dated prior to our final walkthrough. No matter the result, she was replacing that carpet. So California law is very specific on what the owner can charge for carpets. At the final walkthrough, she was okay with the carpets, but then changed her mind a few days later. So I explained, to the letter, that I was responsible for roughly 1/30 of the cost of replacement, as she graciously showed me the 10 years old carpet was good for 30 years. So due to the fact it was normal wear and tear, I agreed to cover that portion. It was only a couple hundred. Now in her letter, she threatened legal action as well. So I put everything together, including a final breakdown of what was owed to her, and what was owed to me. And it was close to $1,500.00. I also informed her I was ready to take the case to court if she didn't agree with me, as that was the next legal step. About a month later, she had 30 days to respond. I get a check for $1,250.00. And a short note saying she expected this issue was considered resolved. I have never smiled so much cashing a check. TLDR. Scummy owner tries to make me pay for changes, upgrades after I move out. Use the law to force her to return most of my deposit. Great job. Very smart to move due to septic issues. That could have been really expensive and gross to fix. I would be very interested in what your state real estate commission would think of her actions. Wait, the owner's daughter tried to kill your animals? Did you report the illegal septic? Landlords just love to make up reasons to keep your deposit. I shared a rental house for a year and the landlord kept the entire $800 deposit for a bunch of random charges, despite the fact that we left the house cleaner than we found it. Wasn't really enough money to fuss over. 4 roommates, so $200 apiece. And we didn't really track the state of the house before and after with photos. But it's so damn annoying. Scumsuckers. I had something very similar. Landlord refused the final walkthrough since they were selling the house. I videotaped a walkthrough myself. Owner sent me a bill instead of a check outlining the charges. Charged me 3 hours of labor at 100 per hour. To service the impeller motor of the hot tub. Said I nearly ruined it by draining and turning it off. Charged me for cork adhesive pads on the drawers to soften the sound when closed. And charged me for paint. We lived there 3 years. So the paint was wear and tear. The adhesive tabs were installed by his wife. And by his own telling, all the impeller needed was to be taken apart and cleaned. A 15-minute job he did himself. Told them that they had 1 week before the 4-week window ended and I would sue for triple damages. Unless paid in full. Also pointed out that since they lived out of state, airfare alone would be a killer. Got my check. Glad you got out of a shitty deal with shitty people. I wouldn't have even bothered with the letter and went straight to suing. You would have gotten a hell of a lot more because a lot of what they did was completely illegal. Technically, you were living in an uninhabitable home due to the illegal work done on the house. Good on you. I'm incredibly curious as to which part of CA this was. OFC, understandable if you don't want to disclose. But this kind of shiftiness on their part sounds very familiar. You didn't even get your full deposit back. How is this malicious compliance? Should have ratted her out for the illegal water hookup and septic tank issue. I'll bet that would have netted another $1,250 lol.
Good on you.
Wait, so she scammed you out of $750? Shouldn't she be the one congratulating herself? Except your rent covers normal wear and tear on carpet and paint. So you owed her nothing for that other than if you put more than normal wear and tear on it. I would have gone to court. But as long as you consider it a win, that's what's important. She still managed to grift you for $250. California rentals are shady. Get everything written and signed no matter what. Military lived in Cali. Interesting story, but not really MC. Just an ordinary landlord-tenant dispute. Should have sued anymore for the cost of everything she tried to force you into paying.
Weird.
Scummy landlord pulled a version of this on me once too. When I was viewing the app, she emphasized she wanted someone there for long term. I said that's what I want too. The day I moved in, the windows didn't have blinds and there were no fire alarms. I asked her to fix it. She put the blinds up, but she literally duct taped the alarms to the wall. They fell within 4 hours. In the winter, the heat broke down. I reported it and she came by and claimed she fixed it. Cold snap broke and the temperature was better, so I believed her. A month later, another cold snap. Heat was just as bad. I text her again and come to find out she never actually fixed the heat. Just turned it on. Decided it was working normally. And left while telling me she fixed it. Surprise, surprise. I didn't renew. She was mad BC. She wanted a long-term lease like she said. She charged me 3/4 of the deposit for BS reasons and I just let it go to have her out of my life. Good for you for challenging this couple. Scummy landlords can't understand why they can't keep good tenants and then charge the tenants out. The ass to make up for the losses that are their own damn fault.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.